Hello everyone, my name is SiC and welcome to a bit of a special on a Humble Bundle limited game called Hitchhiker. So this was part of the Humble monthly bundle, I think. It was exclusive, except now it's been released for free. And yeah, as a hitchhiker myself, I just love the concept of a game where you're actually hitchhiking and talking to these guys, because that is really the most interesting part of this kind of game. So right now we're in the car, we have this cool looking farmer dude, and this game also looks really pretty, man. I really like the style and the graphics of it. But yeah, anyway, I've been a hitchhiker for several years. Like, I spent several years of my life completely dedicated to traveling as much as I could, and I've done so in Scandinavia, or through, you know, several countries of Scandinavia.
Where are you headed?
He's talking to me. I've also been to the United States, Canada, New Zealand, and that kind of did it automatically for me, I guess.
Not the
As well as
type, eh?
Australia. Anyway, let's
That's
focus on this
okay.
guy.
Most people I pick up are just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yeah.
Want
Cool.
a raisin? They're from my farm.
Yep, let's take a raisin, I guess. Look at that, that is really pretty. Wow. Special raisin, I guess.
You don't look so good. Guess those things don't agree with you yet.
Alright.
Strange. They're Thompson seedless. Good raisins. We still farm more of those in California than anywhere on Earth.
Birds may swarm when fed. Oh, really?
You want to know the clearest evidence that reality isn't real? Raisins and grapes, man. They're the same thing, but they taste disgusting when eaten together. Obvious bug in the program there, right?
Alright then.
Memory is a slippery thing. Think about when somebody asks you about this ride later, assuming you even know where you're going, and get someplace where somebody can ask you, "Hey, how'd you get here anyway?" They'll ask you, "Oh, I hitched." And your brain will flash back for a second when you say this, and it'll show you a frozen snapshot of yourself, sitting in this car, talking to me like we are right now.
That's very
But
true.
which moment will it actually show you? Will it be this one? Or this one? Or this one? We think we remember how people really were, how our lives together really were. But when we think back to them, even the people we cared about the most, all we're doing is snatching moments out of the air, just grabbing another raisin out of the box.
I guess we can talk some more. Maybe we are not in a rush to answer. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, my wife.
Ah.
She's dead now, but you probably guessed that. Thanks. But you don't look like you're doing so well yourself.
What makes you say that?
Takes one to know one, right? I can always spot someone who's grieving along this highway. They usually stand on the road with a dazed look on their face and their thumb up in the air.
Well, that's not me. Do I know you from
No,
somewhere?
I don't know you, kid. I just know the type.
Well, I did
Hey,
it
do
for
me
a
a
sense of
favor and
adventure,
crack
but
the window,
oh
would
well. Not lost or anything. What's this?
What you got there?
Help. 555-737. Ooh.
That's my number. I used to leave those all over my car in case the car got lost and somebody found it. But yeah, feel free to call me anytime you get in trouble.
Sure, okay. And this is the interesting thing, because like hitchhiking is always portrayed in a
Hey, kid,
really
how about
negative
opening
way,
that window?
and I'm curious to see if this will actually be any different. You know, this is probably going to
Okay,
turn
then,
pretty
have
creepy.
it your way.
I couldn't open up the window.
Yeah, a fair number.
It's
But
not my
after
problem,
a while,
man.
you
It's not my
start
fault.
seeing the same few archetypes over and over. You got the numbnuts Kerouac fans. You got your autodidact blowhards. They'll talk your ear off. You get a lot of people from Cincinnati for some reason. You got your deadheads trying to get to some concert someplace. Then there's the water bottle person. Always worrying they're gonna run out of water before they get where we're going. Still.
I'm none of those.
You're the first hitcher I ever picked up who doesn't have a destination.
I'm definitely one of those.
Copernicus. Seems like the right name for a guy who's traveling the world without knowing where he's going.
Copernicus.
You just
okay.
sit back, Copernicus, and invent a language where false statements are impossible. What?
I have no idea, but
Ah, okay.
well, let's shut him up. Man, the times I've sat in other people's cars just like this, you know, like in the United States as well, like this area actually reminds me of places that I've been, and it's so beautiful, man.
You
And
know,
talking to farmers and hunters
When
and
I
the
was
like,
a kid,
so cool.
my brother and I used to drive our parents crazy on long drives together. Our folks wouldn't let us listen to the radio in the car. So we used to make up these songs about food on long drives to pass the time. We had this one with about 30 verses, each about a different kind of grain. There was this one time we passed a billboard for some kind of bread, challah bread. In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread. In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread. Yeah, that drove Mom and Dad crazy.
I
In
can
hell
imagine.
they have a hell a lot of challah bread. In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread. Come on, join in. In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread.
Yep, I'll join in.
In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread. In hell they have a hell a lot of challah bread.
That's pretty cool, man.
They have a hell a lot of challah bread.
This guy could definitely become a friend over the long run, you know, someone you keep in contact with.
Bread.
He's a cool character. He's nice to talk to. Wait, what? On second thought,
Actually, I'm beginning to understand my
hold
parents'
that thought.
perspective. Getting older is funny. It's like reading a book where less and less happens, but the writing gets better and better. Thanks. I got it from an
Pretty
app.
profound.
It's this app
Cheater.
with philosophical sayings. My wife got it for me to make me sound smarter. Yeah. We used to have a strict division of labor back when we worked together. She would raise the grape from the time it appeared on the vine. I'd step in as soon as it was time to start drying them. Our customers used to have fun with that. I'm the dry one, they'd say. Grapes attract a certain kind of person. A person who likes to make jokes. Wine enthusiasts, tourists, people who like to talk. If I'm totally honest with you, I don't really remember what she looked like. Remember everything about her, just not her face. Some people have faces that are easy to remember. Doesn't seem fair.
No, indeed.
You think you're present in the moment, Copernicus? You've been talking to me for 10 minutes. What color are my eyes?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think blue.
Nope. Like I said when I picked you up,
No, I can't really see, actually.
some people are just waiting until it's their turn to talk. Anyway, pop open the glove box and I'll show you a photo of my wife.
Ah, now it works for some reason.
Hey, where'd you get that? That's not her. And that guy there, he looks like you.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I was gonna ask you the same question, Copernicus.
What is that doing in your car, man?
Well,
That's kinda weird.
I guess it belongs to you. You better hold on to it.
Yeah, the idea here is that you kinda lost your memory. And you don't really know where you're going, who you are, and all that kind of stuff, so you're going to find random stuff around the car, I think, that's going to help you remind me. Or, yeah, going to help remind you who you are, and I guess this picture is one of those things. But,
Wanna hear a joke?
well, sure, why not?
Why did the raisin take the prune to the dance? He couldn't get a date. Hey, that reminds
I
me.
don't get it.
It's almost 4:30. You'll like this. It's my favorite. I once knew the hostess, Darlene. She used to change the tires on my truck on Highway 51.
Welcome to another Interstate Riddle Hour. Here's our first riddle. Keep your eyes peeled, all you blacktop carpetbaggers. I fly, yet I have no wings. I cry, yet I have no eyes. Darkness follows me. Lower light I never see.
What am I? Find me and click. I fly yet I have no wings. I cry yet I have no eyes. Darkness follow me. Lower light I
Here's a
never see.
hint. We're looking for something fluffy.
For something fluffy. I have no idea. I'm always really bad at riddles. Final hint, white and fluffy and low on the horizon. Clouds.
Very good. Here's the
Yep.
next one.
Okay.
A gatekeeper forever bound. He opens and shuts with a similar sound.
A gatekeeper forever bound. He opens and shuts with a similar sound. A fence? I guess.
Here's a hint. Think metal teeth that open and shut.
Metal teeth that open and shut. Love is the extremely difficult realization that I couldn't quite finish that thought. A gatekeeper forever bound, right? Okay, but I can't see what I think that it actually means. He opens and shuts with a similar sound. What? Oh man, I'm so bad at these riddles. Well, I don't see it, man. It's not one of these things. Find me and click. Wake up. What the hell? Alright. Well then. I have no clue. Let's just... Now we can open the window. Damn it. We should have done this earlier. Can we click this as well? Oh, that's interesting. Can't click that. A gatekeeper forever bound. He opens and shuts with a similar sound. The game doesn't actually progress until we've clicked it, which is really annoying. Give me another hint, man. I really don't know. It's not the mirror, it's not this. A gatekeeper forever bound. He opens and shuts with a similar sound. Opens and shuts. Don't trust unknown drivers. I've trusted plenty of those, believe me. Like I hitchhiked over at least 12,000 kilometers with thousands of people, you know, by a rough estimation. And well, I've only had the really one weird experience, and whenever I tell people about it, they They laugh. I remember my father laughing when I told him about it. It was in the United States, and I got picked up by this old man, and he was in his 80s somewhere, right? And he was only going to take me to the other side of the town, because I just crossed the border from Canada into the United States, and I was on the north side of this town, and I wanted to get to the south side of it so I could continue on with my travels. And so this guy pulls over, and I get in, you know, throw my backpack into the back of his pickup truck, get into the car with him, and he starts driving, and then he turns around and looks at me, and the first thing he says is, "Hey, I'm gay. Do you want a blowjob?" And oh my god, man, that was just, I was shocked, man. I turned around and looked at him, and I was like, what? Yeah. And he kept trying the entire ride too, and it was only 5 minutes, so you know, I knew it was going to be a short ride, but it still felt really, really long, man. It was, oh, I sure would like it, yes sirree. I know a quiet place, nobody will see us, you know. He just got trying things like that, you know, like, must been a long time since you had any, you know, and I can help relieve you. Yeah, God, just saying it out loud is just so cringeworthy, you know. I got out of that car so fast, like really, really fast, and I actually lost my pocket knife, which was in my pocket, because you know the angle that I was sitting in the chair was such that, you know, it actually slid out when I quickly got out of the chair, and yeah, it was kind of gnarly, man. It was my second ride in the United States, and I wanted to turn around and go back to Canada. But now, you know, I mean, in the moment I felt really dirty, like I needed a shower. Now I think, you know, this guy probably had to hide the fact that he was gay all of his life. And, you know, now that it was finally kind of morally acceptable, or, you know, accepted by society to be gay, he's too old and wrinkled, I guess, that nobody really wants him anymore. Certainly probably no one from his community at that point, or maybe he was still in hiding from them all along. And, you know, the heart wants what the heart wants, and you can't get it anymore, so you pick up a random hitchhiker and see if it can get you anywhere, I guess. So in the end, you know, it's really sad, you know. I can't be angry about it, and now I can actually kind of laugh about it, but at that time, man, I felt horrible. Luckily, though, the next two rides made up for it. You know, the next ride was a boy and a girl, and this was back in 2012, so I have no idea if they actually pulled it off, but they were kind of hippies, and they wanted to buy their own property. And, you know, they wanted to build their own house, and they wanted to live off the land, and, you know, live that kind of a hippie life, completely self-sustained. I can kick the cola can, really. Well, that's not it. And then the next ride was a woman, and she introduced me to her boyfriend and his parents, and they gave me a meal and a place to stay for the night. They did my laundry for me, so I had a complete set of fresh clothes. And then they drove me on the next morning to the next state, which was pretty close to their house, but, you know, still a fair distance away. And that was really cool. And then the second night in the United States, I got another place to stay, and I got a cool vest out of it as well, because it was really cold. It was like autumn, and I was in the desert. I was going towards Utah, and that's where I actually ended up my second night. In 2 days, I went from the Canadian border down to Salt Lake City, thanks to this guy. Yeah, and he gave me a vest, which I still have, by the way. And actually, we're driving in circles. And I still haven't found it, so I'm talking too much, but I wanted to tell some of my stories at least, because, you know, this is a game about hitchhiking, and as a hitchhiker myself, yeah, I'd like to talk about the things that I did and experienced.
Ready? Here's one more.
Wait, what?
He lies
I found it.
without touching the ground.
Did I? Was it a backpack? He lies without touching the ground.
Damn it, Darlene.
It was him. He lies without touching. He's lying to me? Really?
I should have tipped her better when she changed the tires. She's been out to get me ever since.
What are you lying about?
I admit I lied. But only about one thing.
We've never met before. I never put that photo of you in the car.
Nope, I'm as surprised by that one as you are.
I'm not a farmer.
Why would anybody bother to lie about that?
Yeah, it would be interesting, but we've never
Yeah.
met before. Huh. We've met
I
before?
recognized you right away on the side of the road. Knew right away you're the guy who took photos of me in my trailer for that magazine. You showed up at my trailer park, taking photos. At first, I was a bit suspicious, since there were plans to kick us out and develop the trailer park into some kind of shopping center. But then it became clear that you'd been sent here by a magazine to do one of those stories about vanishing farmers that always pulls heartstrings with the rest of the country.
What's she done with me? Why did you lie to me?
Let's not kid ourselves. You don't seem like a guy who wants to know.
What do you mean?
Don't forget, you picked this car every bit as much as I chose to stop for you. You picked this car, picked me, not to feel anything.
Not to feel what? What's going on here then?
Now you see what I mean? I'm one of the good guys here.
Look at the back seat. One of the good guys, I guess. Well,
You never mentioned anything about him, but I guess he's part of what you're running from.
him? What? Am I dead? What is this all
Here.
about?
I'll try
Yeah,
to
please explain. I'm not following this anymore. But he's not explaining squat. He's playing some music. And the sun seems to be going down. That's kind of cool. Can we click on this? Can we turn it off? No, we can't. Okay. He's not explaining squat, man. It's kind of weird. And this is always the part that's, you know, the end of the day. When the sun goes down and it becomes dark and you have no place to stay. That's always a really interesting part of the day when you're hitchhiking, because, you know, maybe somebody will offer you a place to stay, and it has happened to me before, you know, and I've met some really good friends that I still am in contact with. In New Zealand, when I was there, actually, I met a couple that was really cool. It was raining and I wasn't going to get to where I was trying to go, and they offered me a place to stay, right? And what the hell's happening?
A man travels along a road until he reaches a gate at the top of a hill. The road has been long and straight so far, and the going has been easy. But now the man can't go any further, so he takes a seat by the road to rest. The man waits, and after a length of time that seems neither short nor long, the gate opens, and a guard appears. The man asks the guard for entry, but the guard says he cannot let him enter at the moment. The man thinks for a second and asks if he will be allowed through later. It is possible, says the guard, but not now. The gate now stands slightly open, and the man tries to look through it longingly. His journey has been easy so far, and he misses the feeling of the open road. The guard notices and laughs. Even if you could gain entry, there are many gatekeepers after me. Some are much stronger than me, and I'm afraid to look upon them. So there the man waits, for days, months, years, waiting to enter. One day, when he's given up hope of entering, a single question occurs to him, one he has not thought of before. Why, he wonders aloud, are there no other travelers at this gate? Early in my journey, the road was crowded with them, and yet, in all these years, no one but myself has waited in front of this gate. The man is surprised to hear an answer come from a voice next to his ear. It is you who made this gate, says a bird perched by his shoulder. so it exists for no one but you. But why? Asks the traveler. Why would I want to stop here? The bird replies, after hungrily eating a crust of bread from the man's hand. After this point, the road becomes less straight. It becomes like the tree in which I live, splitting into dozens, hundreds of branches. The path becomes impossibly narrow and frail, and crowded with the view of other paths one could have taken. There's only one point ahead on the road where all paths converge, where all points join, where the light shines through skin and through lies. But it's never been reached by one of your kind, a traveler who walks on feet. "Shoo!" cries the guard, chasing the bird away. "Don't listen to his nonsense." Having said this, he takes a seat next to the traveler, but not before closing the gate forever.
Huh.
So when you think about it, who knows how long we've been sitting here, just like this, on this road. Take it from me. It's better to face things with, what's it called again? Fortitude. Better not to feel too much. Want a raisin?
Huh. No
You
thanks.
sure? Just need to get used to them. Life is like a box of raisins. That's some Forrest Gump type wisdom for you right there. Here, I'll leave the box open for you. Help yourself.
Let me get back to my story for just a second. So, I was in New Zealand, right? And this couple picked me up. And they were living on a farm. They were living there together with many other people. They had a landlord, you know, and they all had like their kind of like caravans to stay in, except for the couple I was staying with. They were in the house. And yeah, I ended up spending the night with them, drinking, getting along with their
Hooded
dog.
crows all along this road. I have to chase these for my farm every harvest.
And yeah, they had this thing called a woofing place. You know, it's like willing workers for organic farms, which means that you will spend
They look
a few
hungry.
hours working,
Didn't get much peck out of this last harvest.
and for that you get a place to stay and food. And basically you can live there for free for just a few hours of work every day. Now, I wasn't part of this plan, you know, but I kind of rolled into it because they had some people coming over the very next day to do just that. It was a girl from the United States and a guy from Belgium. They were together. And yeah, I kind of, you know, helped them out with a little chore they had to do around the house. They invited me to stay for another night, you know, we had some more to drink. And then the next day I helped them out with something else. We just kind of rolled into it. We were getting along so well that I just kind of, you know, without really talking about it, but it was acceptable, you know, like they told me not to worry. But I kind of ended up staying with them for 6 weeks. Well, my original plan was to just move on the very next day, go to where I needed to go. So, what's that bird doing in front of the car, man? Yeah, that was really cool, man. They were my friends for sure, you know, like 6 weeks living in their house, you know, working on the farm. But even after like, about 4 weeks, there was nothing left to do, really. But I was still welcome to stay. We're just hanging out and drinking and stuff like that, you know, showing me around the countryside, things like that. Taking me fishing, taking me for walks, you know, showing me sharks in the water. That was really, really weird. I always kept an eye out in the water after that when I was swimming at the beach. But yeah, I guess we have to pick a raisin and move on with the game. So let's eat one, see what it does. It's going to be pretty weird and creepy, most likely. I very much doubt we're getting used to it.
Getting used to it.
Oh, really? This is what you call getting used to them. Right. Luckily, the effect wears off pretty quickly. This bird, man. It stays in the car just perfectly, you know? Almost like it's attached. Well, I guess we have to eat another one. Nothing's happening, at least, so... Yeah, this is episode 1. And there's going to be multiple episodes, probably. So that would be really interesting. You know, we will have other drivers, other stories. And like I said, you know, as a hitchhiker, I hitchhiked primarily for the stories, to meet other people, you know, see what their life is like. Because I met so many interesting people, man. I'll tell you. I've met a guy from the Congo, right? I was hitchhiking with my friend in Norway. Or actually, this was still in Denmark. We were hitchhiking on the highway because we were in a terrible place with almost no cars, so we ended up, you know, deciding to go stand on the highway and hope for the best, which was a really dangerous choice. But we were so fed up with being stuck in one place, which is, you know, a big part of hitchhiking is getting stuck with nobody picking you up. But anyway, this car pulls over on the highway for us, and we run over. You know, it was a good 300 meters away for us before he completely came to a stop, so we had to run with our heavy backpacks. And inside was this black man, and he told us his life story. And he was from the Congo, and he had to flee towards Europe, or Scandinavia, I guess, because of a civil war that broke out. Now, the thing was, his family and they lived in the middle of the Congo, but for his work he needed to travel towards the south of it. And he was there in the south without his family when the civil war broke out, and he couldn't go back home anymore. Right? So he ended up in a refugee camp, no contact with his family, with his wife or his daughter, and he was, you know, forced to flee the country. He ended up in Denmark, and at this time there was no real internet, I guess. You know, Facebook didn't exist anymore, and he couldn't contact his wife and child anymore. You know, and this of course messed with him for a long time. But in the end, when Facebook became a thing, he actually, you know, I guess in an act of desperation, he looked up her name on Facebook and actually found her. And it turned out she had fled the country with his child, and they had ended up in Germany, towards the north edge of Germany, actually close to the border of Denmark. So they were living for several years pretty close together, you know, like just a few hundred kilometers distance, and they never knew. So at the time when we met him, he had just I guess met up with her for a year or something, a year or two, and she was actually pregnant with his second child at that point. They weren't living together yet because, you know, they had both built up their own lives. You know, he was doing a study, and he had learned Danish, so he didn't speak German, she didn't speak Danish, and, you know, they all both had their own things going on that they needed to finish first before they could live together again as a family. But they were working on it. You know, he was going to finish his study so that he could have a proper job. I don't remember what the woman was doing, but yeah, that was so weird, man. It's like these guys, or this guy that's been in a war zone, you know, that had to flee his country for fear of his life, and ended up in Denmark with no way of knowing if his wife or child were still alive or dead, and then finding them again through Facebook. I mean, what are the odds of that, you know? It's absolutely crazy. And things like that, stories like these, they will stick with me forever. You know, we also met a guy, and this was actually in Norway. We had spent several days sleeping outside on the rocks because there literally was no better place for us to be at that point. We slept on some rocks, we slept on the floor in a barn, and I was so tired, man. When we got to Oslo, we got a ride from this guy from Iran, and I was sitting on the back seat, and you know, it was kind of loud, and I couldn't overhear everything my friend was talking about, but I did hear that this guy, you know, had been in prison in Iran, and then actually fell asleep for some reason. You know, I was in the car with, you know, a guy that I heard was in prison, but, you know, I didn't know what he was in prison for before I fell asleep, so he could have been really dangerous, but I was so tired, man. I went straight out of it. And by the time I woke up, we got out of the car, we were in Oslo, and my friend, you know, he talked to me, and he's like, that guy was really cool. And I was like, okay, you know, what about him then? Because I only heard just a little bit, and it turns out this guy had protested the government because the government was not giving people, you know, every basic human right, and, you know, he didn't accept that. You know, he wanted to have more rights as a human being, and so he protested the government, was arrested for it, and thrown in prison for several years. And when he got out, he fled Iran and he ended up in Norway. So I met plenty of refugees and, you know, some illegal Mexicans in the United States, for example, and, you know, things like that. It's so interesting, man, all of these stories. And that's what really makes hitchhiking cool to me, you know. It's like you get into a car with a stranger, you give them your trust, you hear their life stories, and all kinds of people will pick you up, you know. Women, children, not children, but women with children, men of every age, every sexual orientation, doesn't really matter, you know. Most people, there are a lot of good people of every kind that will give you a ride for whatever reason. And, you know, when I say for whatever reason, you know, the first thing most people think is, oh, you know, they might kill you or something like that. But like I said, the only really weird experience that I've had was with that old man in the United States who wanted to suck my dick. That's about as worse. Yeah, and in Sweden one time I thought I was going to get robbed, but this guy was just kind of being weird. That's another story. It didn't happen though. He was just kind of strange in the way he acted. We ran out of gas on the highway, and he started jerking his steering wheel around, and I was just like, this is an act, you know. It's like, it didn't feel like, I don't know, it felt weird. Let's just put it like that. And he pulled over the car, and it turns out he actually did run out of gas. But I thought, you know, that as soon as I would get out of the car, he would just drive off with a backpack or something like that. But that didn't happen. Anyway, let's eat another raisin. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to it. This is some really, really psychotic shit right here. Let's eat another one. Let's just keep knocking them back, see what happens. This is not something I would ever do in real life if I ever experienced it, but well, let's see if we can go on a trip during a trip. Or overdose. I don't know, man. We're going to wake up in this guy's basement, bent over a chair or a table or something. I don't know, man. Fuck. This is bad. Alright, what can we do? Is there anything else that we can do? Can we... Because that is kind of lighting up kind of weirdly. I don't know, man. Let's open up the window again, I guess. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But this experience was supposed to be about an hour long, I guess, and you know, I figure might as well just oh, look, we can throw a raisin out of the window. That is interesting.
You don't want to do that. There's no telling what those birds will do once they start swarming.
So there's some kind of, I don't know, man, some kind of supernatural phenomenon thing going on here. We've got lots of birds over here. It would be really cool if the next episode would just be something realistic, you know, that is just telling you a story of someone's life instead of just, you know, weird shit going on, because there isn't an actual Hitchhiker story outside of movies that actually focuses on the good side, except, you know, yeah, there's no games that do hitchhiking, basically.
You're making a mistake, kid. You don't know where they're taking you.
I don't know where you're taking me. We're driving in circles, man.
Look, I'll help you. I'll help you figure out what happened when she came back from Europe.
Okay, I trust you. No way you lied to me. No, let's say I trust him.
All right, look, I wasn't planning on going this way. But since I see how you feel, I'll take you to the local mystery spot. I think the local mystery spot is exactly what the doctor ordered. There's a special camera there, located in a shed set back a ways from the boardwalk. It takes a picture of whatever's inside you. I can't think of a better way to help someone who can't remember anything important.
Hopefully that's not going to be a knife.
It's only a few minutes away.
In a few minutes.
In fact, we might be close enough already. Better check your backpack, Copernicus. Sometimes it does its thing way before you expect to be in range.
Huh. Okay.
That's not a good look for either of you. I guess you'll be needing to get to the bottom of that.
What happened to the picture?
Just remember, there are many more gates ahead and many more guards. I'm pretty much the friendly drunken uncle of the bunch. Well, good luck to you, kid. Oh, one more thing.
What is
What
it?
did the grape say when he got run over by a car?
Something about the date?
He just gave a little whine. Good luck with your search.
Oh, that's lame, man. But actually one I get. That's pretty funny. Is this the end then? Yeah, it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of the Hitchhiker, and I hope you enjoyed my stories of my own experiences about hitchhiking. Please leave a like and a comment below if you enjoyed this content and wish to see more, if more episodes of Hitchhiker ever come out. And I'll see you guys for whatever video I do next.